Hello and welcome. You're listening to the SPAG Dialogue podcast.
Hello, everyone. I am Neha Chandra, Healthcare Communications Specialist with SPAG. And today I am in conversation with Vishal Gondal, founder and CEO of Goki, an Indian fitness technology company that provides a smart preventive health ecosystem, combining a smart fitness band, an app, care team, including a personal coach, experts, and a doctor to help you meet all your health targets. Welcome, Vishal.
Hey, hi. Nice connecting with you, Neha.
So today our discussion is centered around understanding how much do you trust your wearable device with your heart. Now, for the longest time, we believed in taking care of our health only once we fell sick. The notion of preventive healthcare was quite far-sighted. However, of late, we've seen tremendous awareness and inclination towards taking charge of your health. Now, with the support of ever evolving technological innovations, this movement towards a healthier lifestyle has only been accelerated. So, Vishal, jumping right into our first question for you, how has really technology driven the healthcare ecosystem of late?
So basically, COVID has completely accelerated the adoption of technology and remote monitoring when it comes to healthcare. As we know that more and more people are preferring to, stay at home and avoid going to doctors or hospitals unless it's absolutely important. And a lot of doctors are now even doing remote consultations. However, the minute you are doing remote consultations, you are depending on the patients themselves to provide you data because you can't check a blood pressure or a pulse rate of a patient remotely. And that's where wearable devices have come in. And I think especially with Goki, since the whole pandemic, we have actually doubled down on medical compliance and making sure the accuracy of the data is extremely high. Because now, previously, the use case of these wearables was more vanity, right? Not many people were looking at all this data very seriously. But in the case of Goki, we introduced something called the Goki Vital, which started tracking vitals like blood pressure, heart rate, way back in 2018. And so what has really happened is these devices are getting more and more accurate. They are able to track more and more vital data. And I believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, between your watch and your phone, all major diagnostic parameters will be available live to consumers.
Definitely agree with you on this. We have seen a lot of inclination towards these devices, and the reason behind that is something that you've stated here, and of course, that interest from all age groups. So, which is what my next question really is: that have you seen this interest coming from all age groups, or is it an awakening that specifically comes once you have a certain illness identified, or it's something that people are now taking as like a preventive thought process?
So clearly, preventive thought process only creeps in when you are above 30. So 70% of our consumers are at above the age of 30 because, when you are still in your 20s, you believe you are bulletproof and nothing is going to happen to you. But I think the minute people are in their 30s, they are, settled in a job. Some of them are married. Some of them have, one or two kids. That is the time, especially now, people have seen mortality so closely, right? We have seen so many family members, extended family members, friends, just due to COVID, there was so much deaths around us, right? And now everybody is saying that, hey, I better get my hypertension or pre-hypertension or pre-diabetes or all these things in check. One of the interesting data points I want to share with you is that when we asked people that when do they check their blood pressure, an average person said that they maybe check it once a year. But the minute somebody comes on Goki devices, they start checking their blood pressure twice a week. So imagine, from once a year, now you are testing it 100 times a year over, so clearly that's a game changer. Similarly, heart rate. Most people are not even aware that what is their resting heart rate, which is such an important parameter for health. And now suddenly our users are able to do it. So I think, it is said that you cannot manage what you can't measure.
Definitely. And Vishal, what now we also want to focus specifically is on that a very crucial organ of our body, the heart, like you've already mentioned. How much focus do we, when we have these devices, how much focus is on cardiovascular health? And I understand that, when we become a patient and we're going through a heart related problem is when we actually consult a doctor. But before that, how, with the devices, how much can we rely on them to keep a check on our cardiovascular health?
So first of all, I'm happy to tell you that Goki devices have almost 97 to 98% accuracy when it comes to pulse rate measurement. So it is as accurate as any other device out there, any other medical device out there. And this is actually one of the problems with a lot of these cheap Chinese devices, which are available for 500 and 1,000 rupees. The accuracy of those devices are massively suspect. So with Goki, we have invested a lot in compliance and technology and algorithms and calibration. So we are able to get a very high degree of accuracy. But specifically around heart care, I would say that the first sign of any distress is reflected on your heart rate. So resting heart rate is one of the key parameters, or your average heart rate is one of the key parameters which we at Goki track. The second big parameter which we also check when it comes to cardiovascular health is, of course, blood pressure. And we know that in India, hypertension is also a very, very common thing, because that is the precursor, right? If you look at how you get to heart disease, it starts with hypertension, it starts with high or low pulse, and then clearly it then leads all the way to some kind of a heart incident. Also, ECG is a very important factor, and we have devices which can measure ECG. So as far as Goki is concerned, I would say between all the sensors we have, the most important data points directly comes from the heart sensors which we have. And then, of course, blood oxygen level is not linked to the heart, but finally everything is connected to how good your heart is pumping blood across your body.
And with these devices, I mean, do you think it sort of brings us, because a lot of people are now consulting virtually, and going to a doctor is has sort of become like a second thought. Like it takes some time for people to actually think we'll walk up to the doctor. So how much with the importance of virtual consultation has really increased? So what are your early thoughts on that? That have we sort of bridged that gap?
So imagine that you are driving a car which does not have a speedometer, which does not have, how much fuel you have left, and you are just driving the car. You have no idea. You have to guess what is the speed of the car. And the only time you come to know your speed and all that is when you have a crash and you go to a mechanic. So that is unfortunately what is happening to our bodies. We have no data. We are living our lives, and then what happens is when you suddenly have an incident, you go to the doctor, and that is the time you track and you find out, oh God, all this has gone wrong. What we are trying to do with our services is we are saying, don't wait for it to be so bad that you have to go to a doctor. Of course, let's start tracking, figuring out what is your problem, because the insights we are able to generate are so high that consumers themselves can do a lot of actionable points. And then, of course, you go to a doctor on a periodic basis. So you don't see a doctor every day based on your heart rate, right? You would consult a doctor once in 3 months, but then the rest of the 3 months, you need to follow your lifestyle, continue your medications, and then react on the data on a real-time basis and not wait for a crash to happen.
Great. So completely agree with you on this, that, reiterating the fact that how much the preventive approach is something that will really be beneficial in the long run. And also really coming back to where we really started with the topic of digital healthcare. How has, with specifically the Indian context, how has public and private partnership really worked out in this space in the last 1.5 years?
So government is doing a lot when it comes to health, right? I mean, with Fit India, which was their entire initiative around, prevention, exercise, etc. And then what has happened on the entire, vaccination front, There is the health ID which is getting generated. So I think just like we saw the entire disruption of our payment and banking infrastructure with UPI and how the whole payments have become digital, I think COVID will do the same thing what demonetization did to the digital economy with banking and all these wallets and all these neobanks. I think COVID has done that for healthcare. So people were forced to adopt digital, and because of that, now because this was happening over an extended period of time, this has become the new normal. So you would not want to directly go and say, hey, let's do a physical consultation with the doctor. You will ask that, hey, can this consultation be done online? If that can be done, clearly there is no need to go and wait in a waiting room and then travel whatever, half an hour, 1 hour to go to a particular clinic. So it saves a lot of time for the patients and the doctors. And then if in case the doctor feels that there is a requirement for an inpatient visit, then they can call those people there.
And Vishal, sort of just coming to the end of this discussion, what we really want to know from you is that how we're leaving our audience with a thought here. And what, in your opinion, is going to be the future of heart health, and specifically in the Indian market?
India has one of the lowest life expectancy in the developing world. Our average lifespan is whatever, 68, 69, compared to other countries where it is 85, 86, and even growing longer. And if you then connect that, what is the biggest thing which is causing mortality in India? Heart related issues are, of course, on the top. And as you know, heart is what the comorbidities come in, right? So when you have a heart issue, it automatically stems into diabetes, kidney. So all these are eventually connected. So lifestyle diseases are causing the most amount of mortalities in India. I think if we have to think about fixing India's lifestyle issue, then we need to think about how can we improve the lifespan. How can India get to an 85 or even a 90 when it comes to how long people can live? So I would say that all of us, the metric we are using to measure success in healthcare, I think needs to be recalibrated. We celebrate when the government says, oh, we are increasing our budget by, X thousand crores in healthcare. Healthcare spending is not what needs to be celebrated. What needs to be celebrated is what is the impact. And I think if we are truly going to deliver a digital healthcare and a preventive healthcare, that has to lead in India having one of the much higher life expectancies than what is there today.
Absolutely. And, keeping all these insights in mind, really want to thank you today for your time and all this information that you've shared with us today. We really hope that, after listening to this, we hope that more, everyone really comes forward with this drive to take health in their own hands and have an active approach towards a healthier lifestyle. Thank you so much, Vishal.
Yeah, like I want to end by saying that it's time that we all become the CEO of our own health and stop blaming others on its failures.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to tune in to more such conversations, subscribe to the SPAG Dialogue podcast or visit our website spagdialogue.com.